Hey guys, so welcome back to the TKK podcast.
Podcast episode.
Woo, woo, woo.
Today we want to talk about one of this random documentary that we found on YouTube. Actually, he randomly found it on YouTube while he was scrolling through and looking for something for us to watch that one night when we didn't really have anything to watch.
They remember that one night, when we didn't have anything to watch.
So then he found a trailer, and then I think you watched it first, and then you asked if I want to watch the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I watched the trailer, I was like, oh, it seems interesting because it's about life. It's about like real life stories. It's based in Japan about this older man who lives with a girlfriend at the time, half his age, 29. And he's like 53 or something like that at the time. So we just want to tell you a bit more about the movie, the documentary. And then hopefully you guys can go check it out too. You can easily find it basically anywhere on YouTube.
So it's called Japan, A Story of Love and Hate. And it came out in 2008. It's not like a recent documentary. And so the quality isn't like the greatest. The filmmaker who shot it on like an old DSLR or something like that. It's very weird in the very beginning. He's jogging and talking to the camera and it's like shaking a lot. And kind of what he's talking about doesn't really matter in the rest of the documentary. So I would say, skip the first 5 or 10 minutes of him jogging for whatever reason, talking to the camera, and get to the part where you first meet the main character.
Yeah. I think he was talking about nothing that was related in the first 5-10 minutes because it was more like an intro for him, how he decided to document this random guy that he found.
The director's name is Sean McAllister. I've never seen any of his other films, if he did make any other ones.
We don't know.
But this one seemed to be very popular, and we really love documentaries about people in Japan.
Yeah.
So if you're the type that also likes those types of movies, you'll probably enjoy it. It is a bit on the sad side because it deals with this guy who basically had a lot. He had like multiple cars and multiple businesses. And then through financial recession, it all kind of went away, and he found himself almost on the brink of poverty.
Yeah.
So he basically moved in with his younger girlfriend at the time, who was half his age, who basically, if he hadn't moved in with her, he says multiple times in the documentary that he would have been homeless.
Yeah.
And he has like a couple ex-wives who also have children with. So it was just a very interesting way to start
the movie.
Yeah.
But that's life, man. Anything can happen, And they live like this really tiny 1-bedroom apartment, and then it looks like her house had a lot of like clutter. There's a lot of clutter there, and it's like there's like a clothing and all these random items, almost looks like a hoarder's house, but much smaller.
I think it's because what she moved into is basically a studio apartment meant for one person.
Yeah, definitely.
And now there's 2 people living there, and not only are they living there, but they both work like 2 jobs each.
Yeah.
So that kind of space just gets crammed with clothes and laundry and like dishes and just everything. So I can totally understand it looking cluttered for being such a small spot. It's not like she had a 3-bedroom house and all of a sudden now it's just, a hoarder's life or something.
Right, yeah. We don't really know what she does for her day job. They never really got into it. But at nighttime, what she does is she meets with different clients at like different nightclubs or like restaurants and stuff, and she literally gets paid to spend time with those clients. But nothing sexual ever happens out of it, right? Is that what she said?
Her job is classified as a hostess.
Oh, right.
And so she basically, she goes to like different restaurants and bars with different clients to give the illusion that these people have somebody romantic in their life, even though they're not romantically involved. So it's almost like paying for a girlfriend or something along, or I guess like a wife, depending on how they want to imagine it to play out. But that was her nighttime job. So basically, she The way the documentary makes it look like is that she drinks almost constantly.
Yeah, they did make it seem like it too. Yeah, like she goes out every single night to spend time with those random clients of hers.
Which if you watch like host club documentaries like Great Happiness Space or something like that, which I know a lot of people don't and haven't not seen, it reminded me a lot of that because those hosts in those clubs, they wake up at like 7 or 8 in the evening, and then they're up until like 4 or 5 in the morning, and that's kind of the similar aspects of what she was doing as well.
Yeah, I don't know how she would do it, especially with the daytime job as well.
Right.
That's
I mean,
rough.
they said that they were sleeping on average like 4 or 5 hours a day.
Right.
Which sounds awful.
Yeah. And then what he does for a living, he has 2 different part-time jobs during the daytime. And then nighttime is when he's at home doing the chores around the house, like cleaning and laundry, etc.
Yeah, that was something that was interesting about Japanese culture is it's very much put on the females to do the housekeeping, which I guess typically it is in the U.S. as well. But what was interesting was because he's homeless basically and living with her, the agreement that they came upon was that he would do all the womanly duties, is what they called it. But I think the saddest part was they never really seemed happy together.
No. It was more like having a roomie sharing the same bed sort of thing.
Right. And he says in the documentary that he hasn't been romantically involved with her lately because he's very depressed about his situation, which, I can totally understand feeling that way. And obviously it doesn't put you in the right mood or anything, but I mean, they never held hands really or hugged.
Not affectionate.
They kissed once on camera, but it was like
very awkward.
It was kind of like the kind of kiss a child would give their parent, less than like a romantically involved thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But just really fascinating
story
and people. Even
the people, the characters are interesting as well. And for the longest time, he wouldn't want to go visit her family that lives out in the countryside because the father is the same age as him.
Yeah.
But the weird part was the father, her dad, is the same age as Naoki, so he refused to go visit her family because he didn't want to cause any like additional friction and stuff like that. I'm guessing, right? Is that what they said?
I think it's because they're the same age.
Same age, okay.
And he knows how bad it looks to the father, and I think he also didn't want to go visit because he was embarrassed by his financial situation. And I get it, being 56 years old and dating somebody half your age and not having any money, it's a big recipe for a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah. And then I remember the first time when they showed, when the director, the Sean guy, went with Yoshi, the girlfriend, to visit her family, just them two going. The dad was very open-minded and very welcoming to the director guy. He seemed like a very friendly guy. Like, he didn't seem like he was mean or anything like that. So then when Naoki, the man who is the actual main character of this movie, who actually goes visit the family, I mean, he was very welcoming and opening to him as well. Even though he knew that they were the same age, it didn't bother him at all because to him, he felt like, oh, my family's very weird, but I'm okay with it.
He said something very interesting, something along the lines like, I don't really care what the neighbors think because we're a weird family anyways. He was very open to meeting Naoki, but Naoki wasn't open to meeting the dad.
Yeah.
And they had been dating for like 5 years, so it'd been a long time for him not to go see him. And when he finally ended up going to see him,
he had a really good time.
I think he was really surprised on how much they treated him like a family member, and took care of him, and like, don't worry, we're paying for this food, you don't have to chip in or anything like that, and let's go get some drinks, that's on us, and just made him feel very at home. And I think as much as he probably needed that, I think he just felt like maybe because of Japanese culture, that's not how he would have been welcomed had it been a different family, a more traditional family, maybe.
Yeah, possibly. Well, not possibly. It would be, actually. Like, a more traditional family won't even welcome them there, won't even invite them, won't even want them near the house at all. Because we watch other YouTubers, just like, for example, I'm just giving an example here, okay? Like, this gay couple that we watch on YouTube, one of the guy's family wouldn't even allow for, like, such relationships, so the other guy, the boyfriend, isn't even allowed to visit the other boyfriend's family, if that made any sense, because they're a very, very traditional family. They believe in heterosexual relationships only.
And they're basically
mostly.
pretending as if their son isn't in a
Gay relationship.
yeah, exactly. Which
Yeah.
is not
So
the
sad.
yeah, not great, especially because that specific couple have been together for quite a long time.
Over a decade, I
Yeah,
wanna say.
at least.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
you would think by now that their families would get used to that fact.
Yeah.
But
Still not, apparently, which
Yeah.
is mind-blowing to me. But anyways, going back to the movie, it's probably how he felt in that way, where like he didn't want to be in a situation where where her family would put him down and not respect him, etc., which is, understandable, especially when you're in that kind of poverty line, basically.
yeah, I think the most interesting part of the documentary was when he went to go visit with the family members, as well as when he took the director to go to the mushroom guy.
Oh yeah, the mushroom guy.
Which was kind of a fun. I don't want to ruin it I don't want to tell everybody the whole
Yeah, we don't
movie,
wanna tell
but
the whole movie, yeah.
when he goes to see the mushroom
Spoilers.
guy, it gets pretty funny.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know.
It's a very delightful movie, I think.
Really? I thought it
Yeah.
was very depressing.
Yes, depressing yet delightful at the same time, because you feel like you can relate to most of these character situations, like we were just talking about how it relates to your life, how does it relate to today's society, sort of thing. It is still very valid, even though this movie was made back in 2008. People are still living in poverty. People are still wanting to get out of it and trying to make their lives better, quote unquote.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about Japan, you don't necessarily. One of the first things that comes into your mind isn't poverty or people living in poverty. You would think that people who live in Japan, specifically in the Tokyo area, are all pretty well off because of the just how much business is in that area and how much people work.
I know there's poverty in Japan. It's just not as obvious as it is out in the U.S., where people sleep on the streets. They probably do the same thing in Japan as well. We just haven't really seen any. Every time we go visit, we haven't really seen any, right?
I have.
You've had? Where do they typically sleep on?
When I first went to Japan, I did see some homeless people living out on the street in like cardboard box, typical LA style, really.
Was it in Tokyo or?
Yeah, it was not in Tokyo. I never saw any homeless in Tokyo. I saw them more on like in Osaka, and even when I did, it wasn't as apparent as it is in the U.S.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't like garbage all over the spot, and like dirty clothes and like toilet paper and all this stuff everywhere. It was very well confined to a cardboard box kind of setup that they had done, in terms of like how it is here, where it's people are a lot of times either mentally or mentally unstable or ill or addicted to drugs. So they're kind of already outside of their normal mindset, and that's where the danger comes from. I didn't feel danger around the homeless in Japan.
Okay. Not as obvious as it is out here again. Here, like, we can spot like a homeless down the block, even the next street down.
Yeah.
There's just plenty, especially during these times. But yeah.
But how it relates to my life, I mean, when I had first started filmmaking, I know that it was really hard to get jobs or at least pay the bills on time, because jobs would come in randomly and stuff. So I know what it's like for Naoki to live paycheck to paycheck, or they in one scene they had a bag of rice, like raw rice, that still had like brown dirt on it from the growers, that they had to take to a machine and put in 100 yen coin, which is like $1, and it would basically clean their rice for them and polish it so that they can then go and eat it. And so like I know what it's like to live in that kind of poverty level. So that I really related to a lot in terms of how they were living. They're stressful, working all the time, but yet still stressed over money because the money they were making wasn't enough to cover
the expenses, your normal day food expense and rent expense.
What about you?
I don't really relate in those terms because I've always had like a quote-unquote stable income. Only if I choose to not work for a period of time, I would already have money saved up, so I won't have that kind of stress on me. But I can relate to the point where he said that it can go away very quickly, because you do know that you can lose your job instantly. You can get laid off for any dumb reason or no reason at all. That I'm already mentally prepared for that. Any company that I work for, you just never know. The only key thing that I try to do is try to save up as much as I can for at least 6 months to a year, so that that will give me some time to look for, maybe start another big thing for myself to make money off of, or to continue slaving away for a different company, whatever it may be. So that is probably the only part that I relate to. Be able to save and invest, which is really important for today's society, is to save your money to invest in it. That way you can have passive income.
I don't know if he had money saved up for a rainy day or not, but I know that having, 2 ex-wives that you have to pay alimony to, regardless of how much you have saved up, that's going to be gone, pretty
rather
quickly.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not working to help refill it. So just a lot of bad circumstances for him.
Exactly. Yeah. So we don't want to give away the movie too much. We want you guys to go and find it on YouTube.
If you're interested.
Hopefully you're interested. It's a very cool storyline. It's not cool, like a very thought-provoking storyline, relatable. It's about real life. And we did like that was based in Japan. From what we read online, he is doing pretty well these days. He's doing better.
So apparently he got throat cancer. And when he got diagnosed with throat cancer, he ended up breaking up with Yoshi. And I guess one of his sons convinced his ex-wife to let him move back with her. So I guess he's around Mount Fuji area is what it seemed like in his comment about it. And that she basically helped nurse him back to health after his throat cancer. He's doing much better now. And seems to be more on a better path than how the documentary leaves him off looking like. When the movie ends, you go, oh man, is this guy
okay?
Yeah, is he gonna die next year? Like, what is happening to this guy?
Yeah, you start to become a little concerned about the character. Really, you're like, I hope he's okay. You get a little sad about it. You're like, what's going on? Luckily, there's like online internet these days. You can look him up and see that he's okay.
Apparently, he even has a Facebook page on where he posts updates for everybody who's seen the documentary. We'll link it in the description as well if anybody wants to watch it and then go say hi to him. I'm sure he would love it. He just seems like a really nice guy. Somebody that if we had met in our exploring Japan, that we would definitely probably be friends with. Just because his personality. He's goofy. He's a funny guy. He's got a sense of humor. And I think a lot of people that would be in a situation like him wouldn't have handled it the way that he would have.
Oh my God, yeah.
People even in the comments of the YouTube where we watched it at were saying like, man, if that were me, I'd be addicted to heroin by now and like living on the streets or dead or something. Like you're so strong for
he's mentally strong.
Dealing with it the way that he did.
Right. Yeah. He definitely has a lot of strengthened him.
Yeah.
Tested him. The universe tested him very well.
And he fought back
yeah.
rigorously.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's the V and Will movie review for you.
Movie review number 1. Just kidding. It's not a movie review. We just want to talk about this movie because we thought it was like interesting.
Yeah, we thought you guys might like to know about it.
Yeah.
So leave us a comment on our YouTube channel if you did watch it and what you thought about it.
Yeah.
Or if you're listening to the podcast, I don't know if there's a way for you to comment, so you might have to find us on YouTube. You should subscribe to us anyways with that bell notification.
Yeah. Smash the like button.
Smash the iPods.
Oh dear. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to check out the documentary.
Yes. And it's called Japan, A Story of Love and Hate.
Yes.
Bye.